Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and if you haven't been living under a rock, you already know that Tuivasa-Sheck is leaving the New Zealand Warriors at the end of season 2021, moving to Rugby Union. I think it was the Auckland Blues, something along the lines of that, but he has dreams of playing in the Rugby World Cup, so he's going to be going there, which leaves a spot in the Warriors side for not only a captain, but also a fullback. So I'm going to be looking at possible players that the Warriors could sign to play fullback in season 2022. Now, I've seen a few people do videos and lists and Instagram posts and stuff talking about just players the Warriors could sign in general with his money, but I'm specifically going to be looking at fullbacks because it makes sense. They haven't actually got a fullback ready to come in. Closest they got is maybe Peter Hiku, who can play fullback, but he's getting on in age, and even when he did play fullback, it wasn't like he was a super incredible fullback. He was pretty solid. So they could chuck him in there, but I get the feeling he probably wouldn't want to play fullback at this point in his career. So we're going to be looking at players that they could sign. Some of them are going to be old, some are young, some looking for an opportunity. So let's go ahead and get into my top 5. Now, just before we get into the proper list, there are a few honourable mentions. We've got guys like Latrell, he's off contract. You got Milford and Josh Dugan and Matt Moore and a couple of those guys, but I realistically don't see them signing them. Just either too much money, don't want to play there, injury prone, that just wouldn't go to New Zealand. A couple of those ones. So I'm looking at people who are kind of realistic as well. Otherwise, I'd say, oh, we'll just go and sign Tedesco. So it's obviously not going to happen. So I'm trying to look at realistic ones. Alrighty, now we're going to get into this. So we're going to start off with number 5. That person is Nick Meany from the Kearney Bulldogs. Now, Meany has found himself in and out of first grade. He's played a little bit of fullback, a little bit of wing. I thought when he's played fullback, he's looked pretty decent. The only problem is he hasn't really been given an opportunity. They've tried guys like Wateni Zelezniak, Hopewadi there. None of them have really cemented a spot either. I think Hopewadi is the best fullback at the Bulldogs, which will be interesting when we get into this list as well. But Nick Meany is sort of on the out at the Bulldogs, you would think. Even in terms of the wing positions, you got Auckland there. You've got a few others, like obviously Nick Kotrick just signed, Addo signing next year. So I'm not sure what the go is for Nick Meany, but I think he's good enough to be a first grader. And I think he just needs experience, and I think he can get that at the Warriors. He's someone who wouldn't sign on big money either, and he probably would relish the opportunity to go over there and play at the Warriors. The only thing that I can look at is say that he's not someone who I think will have like an immediate impact. He still is a bit of a project player, could be hit or miss. He could go over there and not work out at all, or he could be an absolute superstar. We don't really know, but I will say Nick Meany does have potential. The only thing is he's sort of getting on a little bit. There's only so many years you can sit around and be a player with potential before you have to put it together. So I think Nick Meany, if he's going to move to a club and at least get a fullback position in first grade, I think it'd be a team like the Warriors, and I think they'd be a great team at developing him. I think Nathan Brown even worked with him at the Knights when he was the Knights coach, so he does know what he's all about. So maybe Nick Meany's someone to come over, and by all accounts, he seems to be a good bloke as well, so he would fit in with the side. And yeah, I think he'd be a good signing, but then you could add in a lot of sort of fringe first grade guys and chuck them into the same category. So Nick Meany I've put in there because he's just someone that I know I'm familiar with, but there's probably a couple other guys who have been in and out of first grade who you could probably say the same about. But yeah, I've just gone Nick Meany at number 5. Number 4, I've gone with Nico Hines from Melbourne Storm. Now, obviously, we've seen the talents of Nico Hines. We saw him win a premiership with the Melbourne Storm this previous year. Kind of a similar position as Ryan Pappenhausen. We know he's a good talent. We know what he can do. He's coming off the bench at this point, but he just needs an opportunity. He needs more of an opportunity than sort of a couple of minutes off the bench. We've seen him in reserve grade do pretty well. When he's actually played for the Storm at fullback, he's been very, very good. I think he might even be able to play in the halves, possibly. I don't want to say that for sure, but I think he might have played in the halves too. But he's a guy with a lot of talent, looking for an opportunity. But the only thing is Pappenhausen is there. He's cemented himself as a fullback. So you're not going to drop Pappenhausen. He's there for the long term. Your halves are kind of set too in terms, even in like long term as well. You got Cooper Johns, a couple of those guys. So I don't really see where Nico Hines figures in unless they play him in the centres or wing or something like that. There is definitely a chance with Addo leaving, Vunivalu leaving as well, but they went and signed a whole bunch of other players too. Obviously got Remus Smith and all that. So I feel like he's got another year in reserve grade on the bench, sort of just doing whatever, a bit of a utility role. And whether he wants to stay at Storm and try and develop or move to another team or move to a team like the Warriors. It's a similar situation to Nick Meany in the sense that he just needs an opportunity. I think he's definitely good enough to play first grade, and I think he'd be a great signing for him. Wouldn't break the bank either, which is a big positive in terms of these because, fullbacks, they're definitely a costly position. You want to put a lot of money into it. So if you can unearth a star, kind of like how the Raiders did with Chance, you're not paying a fortune for him. You're able to put money into other positions too and try and win a premiership. And obviously later down the line, they're going to need an upgrade. But having a guy who's in such a key position and playing well, I think it definitely helps. And having them not on huge money, I think it just helps out your team in general. So yeah, overall, Nico Hines at number 4. I think that's a pretty good option for him. Could even have him higher. It's just a matter of whether he wants to leave the Storm or not. Now, number 3, this is a very interesting one because I quite a touch on this a little bit when I was talking about Nick Meany. I talked about Will Hopewadi. I said that he hasn't really cemented himself as a fullback at the Bulldogs, but I think we've seen enough from Hopewadi to say that he is a really good fullback. He just doesn't have that elite speed to become like an absolute superstar, but we know he's quite versatile and play a couple positions. He's getting a little bit injury prone as of late, but I still think Hopewadi has a lot to offer in the NRL, and I think he's a very solid fullback at this point in his career. And he is someone who I feel like the Warriors could sign, and just going to have that consistency. Now, I will say he wasn't very consistent in the back end since he came back from injury with the Bulldogs last year, but I think he's in for a big 2021. He is off contract as well, so generally when they're off contract, they do play pretty well. So I'm expecting a big year from Hopewadi, and I think he would be a good signing. He'd be someone who I think, once again, they wouldn't break the bank for. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say he'd be coming cheap, but at the same time, I think you get some good value out of him. And even if you sign him and he doesn't set the world on fire at fullback, you can easily chuck him into the centres, and he'd be able to do a good job there too. So he's another one who's quite versatile as well, but he's got some very silky hands. You add to the rest of the Warriors side. I mean, he's pretty good kick returns. You add in like the wingers that the Warriors already have. Add in Hopewadi to that, and you've got some real big meter eaters there, and a person who can replace Tuivasa-Sheck in that aspect. You're not going to have length of field tries, but you're going to have someone who gets in and does the hard yards. And Hopewadi, I think he's a great option, and he has got experience too, which is something that the Warriors probably need, and something that the rest of the guys on this list so far haven't had. A lot of those guys looking for just an opportunity. Hopewadi's had an opportunity. He's had lots of experience, and I think he could add a lot to this Warrior side. Now, moving on to number 2, this one I was umming and ahhing whether to actually put him in this list because firstly, he doesn't really play fullback as of yet, and secondly, I don't really see it happening, but it would be someone who'd be a great signing, and that person is Stephen Crichton from the Penrith Panthers. Now, we've been able to see him turn into an absolutely amazing player in just his first season. He's super young, and he's looking for a big payday from Penrith. Now, Penrith sort of not balking at the price, but they haven't re-signed him as of yet, and you never know with teams. The more they stuff around, the more players get tired of it. They sign other players, do all this sort of stuff. And this could prove costly for Penrith because Warriors are going to be looking at him amongst other teams, and they could swoop in and steal him from Penrith. And obviously, he's made his name in the centres, but I'm pretty sure he has played fullback before in the juniors, reserve grade, that sort of stuff. And you can just look at the talents of him, and you can see that he's going to be a superstar. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he does play fullback at some point in his career. Seeing guys like this, Latrell Mitchell, Greg Inglis and all that, they have so much talent that it's just inevitable that they get into a position where they get their hands on the ball more than a centre. So I can see a team like the Warriors and that just paying overs for him, but you're paying overs, but you're getting a guy who's going to be a long-term fullback, long-term centre, wherever you're going to play him. I think he's going to do a good job for you. But in terms of the Warriors, I could see them chucking him in at fullback, especially with the Roger Tuivasa-Sheck money. You could take that money and chuck it straight into a guy like Stephen Crichton. Whether it's going to happen, probably not. But he is someone that they could definitely target. At least have a go at. You got to have a go at a guy like him. You can't sit there and say, oh, maybe not. Especially when you've just announced that you're losing Tuivasa-Sheck, who's probably the highest paid player in your club. So you got to come out, got to make an impact, got to sign someone. Warriors been signing a lot of players. This one would definitely be an impact signing. Now, moving on to the guy I have at number 1 is Jerome Hughes from the Melbourne Storm. Now, obviously, Jerome Hughes at the moment, I'd say is a top 5 halfback. And I think that's what's the beauty of Jerome Hughes as well, is he's quite versatile. But I think first and foremost, he is a fullback. I think he's pretty sure he played all the juniors, or reserve grade, that sort of stuff. Even came to the Melbourne Storm as a fullback. Found himself as the number 2 fullback, ended up number 1, and then just due to circumstances, he ended up in the halves, so they could put Papenhuyzen and him in the same side. Now, he is a great halfback, but I think it definitely helps with the team that he's going around him. Especially helped that he had Cameron Smith there as well. I know he's going to have Harry Grant, so Cameron Munsey, his halves partner. Other clubs in the NRL, I probably wouldn't want to throw huge money at him to come and play halfback. I think he definitely wouldn't be terrible, but I just don't think he'd have as much impact as he did if he played fullback. Fullback is his most natural position, in my opinion. You add in, he's got that extra bit of ball playing, kicking game as well, and I think he can be an absolute weapon at fullback. Add in another dynamic for New Zealand Warriors is the fact that he's a New Zealander. So you add in the aspect as well, go to play for their local team. Some New Zealanders, they seem to want to play for the Warriors. Some of them are dead against it. You guys like Brandon Smith and all that. But I think Jerome Hughes, I think he's someone I could see them throwing a lot of money at. Maybe even a future captain if they could land him. Maybe not the first season. I wouldn't be surprised. West Tigers have done it. But I think he'd be a great signing. He's got experience now. He's won a premiership. I think he's played in a couple of grand finals now. So he's come from a winning culture. and I think he'd be a great signing for the Warriors. Alrighty, so those are 5 guys that I think could sign with the New Zealand Warriors. Leave in the comment section below, tweet me, do whatever you want. But who do you think the Warriors are going to sign / just bring up? Are they going to unearth someone for reserve grade, bring someone up from the 20s or whatever, or are they going to bring someone in, maybe from this list, maybe not? But let me know in the comment section below, what are the Warriors going to do in 2022? Because Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is going to be a huge loss, but I think you can cover it. Those players, I think, will do a great job that I just listed. So, yeah, is there anyone I've missed? Let me know. Also, while you're at it, guys, make sure you go ahead and give me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. My Snapchat isn't on there, but it is MrLuke on YT. Go ahead, give me an ad on that. Give me a follow on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. My Facebook is just MrLuke as well, too. So, go ahead and give me a like or follow, whatever it is on Facebook. Also, make sure to like and subscribe this video if you happen to enjoy it. Definitely make sure you like it. It's super, super important in terms of other people seeing it. Subscribe as well. Love to see those numbers go up. Also, make sure you turn on the notification bell. It's very important. Let's be notified immediately. You don't have to worry whether the video is hitting your subscription boxes or whatever. You can just see that, yep, Luke's uploaded the video. Here we go. Let's watch it right now. So go ahead and do that. And yeah, that's all I got to say for this video. I'll see you for the next one. See yous.